Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Last month, we covered a lot of new cards coming out of Dimension Force, including the outrageous updates to the Albaz storyline, but we still have one more archetype from the pack that needs covering before we can move on to new developments. Odd Eyes has been a oh boy, no, we're not going to be covering that for a while. Patron goal. Today, we'll be covering the swift and savage Scareclaws, who are shaping up to usurp Crusadia and MathMech as the premier Extra Monster Zone OTK Kingpin. For these feral fighters, actions speak louder than words, so let's bring to heel our animal companions, review our pack tactics for maximum dismemberment, and see who we can rope in to our carnival of carnage. Hone your claws and practice your howls, because it's time to unleash the beast with Scareclaw. But if you're anything like me, you're gonna want something to amplify the ferocious energy within you to reach maximum levels of edge, and that's where Buyee comes in, the sponsor of today's video. They're an online importing service that's here to help you get a staggering amount of awesome products straight from Japan. Here's how it works. You go to Buyee's website and shop from a variety of Japanese retailers like Mercari and Rakuten. They buy your selected items on your behalf and store those items in their warehouses. From there, you can select from a number of shipping options before sending those items off to you. There's a ridiculous amount of Yu-Gi-Oh merch you can add to your collection, as well as anything you can think of from your favorite manga, anime, or light novels. After getting the secret shiny box, I was able to craft a shrine to the new Witchcrafter Vice Master, imbuing myself with their magical talent and kudere energy, suit my deck up with exclusive sleeves that make me the talk of locals, and cards with OCG-specific rarities to trick out my binder, leaving a swath of jealous observers in my wake. And now's a good time to start as any. By using my promo link in the description, you can get a 2,000 yen coupon, which is roughly $20 in savings, when signing up for a new account. So not only will you be helping the channel while getting some awesome loot, you'll be able to reach higher power levels at a discounted cost. Thank you all so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So what's the deal with Scareclaws? Well, we actually have a few different classifications for them. We have a group of level 3 Earth Beasts that act as material and support, a pair of Warrior Monsters who are also kinda support, and a big Link 3 that's the cornerstone of the entire strategy that everything revolves around. In fact, let's reverse our usual order and start by going over the deck's big boss monster, so we'll have context for the rest of the cards we'll be going over. Scareclaw Trikeheart is a Link 3 Dark Beast Warrior monster with 3000 attack, requiring 3 effect monsters as material, and must be linked summoned. While on the field, all face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position, kinda like a defense position Baguska, but instead of negating the activated effects of defense position monsters, Trikeheart is unaffected by activated effects of defense position monsters. And once per turn, if this card is in your extra monster zone, you can target a level 3 Scareclaw monster in your grave and special summon it, and if you do, add a Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand. But you won't be able to special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Scareclaws. Now, on its own, this card is already an absolute terror. Aside from Link monsters, Trikeheart does an excellent job of pinning on-field monsters, rendering negation and interaction with them pointless. And the best part is, aside from their Scareclaw summoning effect, they're a generically strong monster, if a bit cost intensive. They're also like a humongous Cerberus Centaur with a giant Buster Sword with a galaxy inside them. How cool is that? Alright, now let's talk about those support monsters. As stated previously, they're all level 3 Earth Beast monsters, but they can also special summon themselves from your hand to your main monster zone in the same column as a Scareclaw monster you control, or in a zone adjacent to one you control, but you can only special summon each of them once per turn like that. Scareclaw Akroa has 0 attack and 2000 defense, and while on the field, your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zone gain 300 attack for each defense position monster you control. A small boost on its own, but added to a base 3000 attack monster, it gets pretty ferocious, especially because of Trikeheart's own revival effect. If you summon or search Akroa with it, that's 600 attack right there, and it doesn't just count your defense position monsters, so the more non-links your opponent has, the stronger Trick will get. They're basically the physical manifestation of the phrase, the best offense is a good defense. Scareclaw Astra has 0 attack and 1300 defense, and while on the field, while you control a defense position Scareclaw monster, your Scareclaws in the extra monster zone can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of defense position Scareclaw monsters you control with different names. And for some reason, they forgot to slap on monsters to that multi-attack, so your giant Link can attack directly multiple times, because why not? Heck, even if it can't attack directly, you can get up to 4 attacks with an optimal board, so only the most stalwart of lineups will have anything left after Trick's Onslaught. But I'm starting to think we have some animal cruelty issues going on here. I don't think those energy balls are at all humane. Scareclaw Veronia has 0 attack and 1700 defense, and gives your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zone the ability to deal piercing battle damage. So on top of everything else, the multi-attacks, the attack boost, the forced defensification, you can also just pull an Arc V. It's outrageous. And the best part is, despite having 0 attack, it's not like they're going to be battling anyway. Trick keeps them all on too much of a tight leash to worry about that. This is a great monster to round out our level 3s, turning Trickheart from a terror to an absolute juggernaut on the battlefield. Just be careful you don't have a fear of needles before committing to this deck, because these ones look sharp. Alright, time to talk about our warriors. Scareclaw Reichhart is a level 4 dark monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense, and they have the same special summon effect as our beast Scareclaws. And if normal or special summoned, you can add a Scareclaw spell or trap from your deck to your hand, then if there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you draw a card. That sounds suspiciously like Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, but thankfully, this card has a hard once per turn clause. Or should I say, Scareclaws. Anyways, yeah, this is just another really solid monster to help make Trickheart, and you won't have to feel bad about using them as material because they don't have a persistent effect. In fact, since it has an on-summon effect, it's the perfect card to search out with the second half of Trickheart's revival effect. Heck, especially with the Lynx effect, because while they're out, getting that extra draw is gonna be a breeze. I'm telling you, this monster really is making a good case for Catboy supremacy. The next warrior technically isn't a Scareclaw, but gets mentioned in pretty much all the Scareclaw spells and traps we're about to go over. Vsauce equals Staffrost is a level 6 light tuner monster with 2100 attack and 1500 defense, meaning they've got a bit of an Albaz Aluber, who are you, I'm you but hotter thing going on. Opposite attributes and stat lines, but matching types, and they look basically the same, with the color stripes in their hair being in the same place, though a different color, and possessing the same right arm made of star stuff. While in your hand, you can target a face-up monster you control with a different type and attribute from Viscus. You destroy it, and if you do, special summon Viscus. And when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain a persistent attack bonus equal to half the destroyed monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher. Not relevant to anything Scareclaws want to be doing, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is cropped up sometime in the future, being involved in all kinds of wacky adventures, dipping into different archetypes, kinda like how World Legacy and the Albaz story does. And this all seems to tie into a spell that came out the set before, New Clear World, not to be confused with a much older field spell, Clear World. This normal spell targets a face-up monster you control, and on resolution, destroys it, and if you do, special summons a monster from your deck in defense position with a different original type and attribute whose level is lower than the destroyed monster's level, but negate its effects. Something that's very similar to Viscus's effect. And the card art looks exactly like the celestial bodies that swirl around inside the hands of Viscus and Raish. It's giving me a lot of alternate reality vibes, and I can't wait to see where this goes, because it seems like it's going to go absolutely nuclear. And speaking of which, it's time to get to the Scareclaw spells and traps. Scareclaw Nova is a normal spell that targets a Scareclaw or Viscus equals Staffrost in your grave and special summons it in defense position. And if any number of Scareclaw Link monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish Nova from the grave as well. A great way to get back into the game if you're lacking material, or just need to grab the right Scareclaw from grave to give Trick the effect it needs. Heck, it can even summon Reich to search you a different spell or trap card. Either way, you can't go wrong with it. Trust me, it's got my Nova seal of approval. Lephobia, the Wanton and Willful World of Desire, is the deck's field spell. When activated, you can add a Scareclaw monster or Viscus equals Staffrost from your deck to your hand. Monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack and defense for each defense position monster on the field, and if there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So this is kind of like an honorary beast type Scareclaw and is a great complement to a Croa. Where they buff Trick's attack, Lephobia debuffs your opponent. And not only does it provide hand fixing, but free removal as well. But with all the summoning you'll have to do to make this live, it does kind of make you vulnerable to Nibiru. I mean, just look at the artwork. Okay, that's actually probably Viscus showing up, but it's certainly foreboding. Scareclaw Alternative is a normal trap that has you tributing 3 Scareclaw monsters as cost, and on resolution, your opponent can only special summon monsters in defense position for the rest of the turn. And during your turn, you can banish this card from your grave to inflict 100 points of damage to your opponent for each defense position monster on the board. Now, at first, this seems really redundant. Trick's already going to be putting monsters in defense position, so if you're going to spend 4 cards total to use Alternative, why not just save a card and get a 3000 attack body by linking into Trick? And the answer is, because defense position is the only way those monsters can be summoned, this effectively turns off Link summoning, the only monster type immune to Trick's effects. So if your opponent's deck primarily involves Link monsters, this makes for a great side deck pick. And hey, getting a little extra burn damage isn't so bad. I mean, it could just as easily not have that grave effect, so it's better than the alternative. Our last card is Scareclaw Splash, a continuous trap that, once per turn, targets a Scareclaw monster or Viscus equals Staffrost you control, and this turn, it can attack while in face-up defense position, and if it does, it applies their attack or defense for damage calculation, whichever is higher. So now you can add another attacker to your lineup of defense position Scareclaws, making Trick's multi-attack even more of a threat. And when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control a Scareclaw monster in your extra monster zone, you can send Splash from your face-up spell and trap zone to the grave to negate that effect. So yeah, a searchable Omni-Negate. It doesn't destroy the card, but honestly, in a big beatdown deck like this, we'll take what we can get. Besides, if you destroy the card by effect, it robs you of the opportunity to splash with it on the battlefield. Okay, so that's all the Scareclaw cards, but what do we do with them? Well, we want to set up a big, multi-attacking Link monster, and hopefully close the game out that turn. We'll want to go second to take full advantage of our damage output, but if we're forced to go first, you can rest easy knowing your board will be very difficult to interact with, what with all the defense positioning going around, but what we need are enablers and extenders to get us to our game plan lickety-split. So what can we play to help them out? Terraforming and reinforcement of the army are both ways to get Lephobia and Raish respectively, both of which help you grab other cards to make your plays live. And since Trick only needs effect monsters as material, anything that you can summon for free can help here. Jester Confit, for example, is as close to a free summon as you can get, and can be linked into Link Karibo in case you want to use other extenders like Parallel Exceed and World Legacy World Crown. Heck, any of the main deck Crusadias fill the same role, which is part of the reason why people draw the comparison between the two themes. Rescue Cat is a fantastic starter, as it just summons 2 Scareclaws right out of your deck. Their effects are negated, but we'll be using them as Link material anyway, so that hardly matters. But since we only need to summon one of them to put a Scareclaw in grave to enable Trickheart's effect, the second monster you summon can be any eligible one with utility effects. Paracerberus, for instance, sets your grave up with a retaliatory destruction effect should your opponent start thinking about dealing damage to you. I'm looking at you, Long Yuan. Kit can get the Tri-Brigade line going if you splash those in, or if you want to play with some synchros, you've got your fair share of tuners to choose from, including Earth attribute ones to make Naturia Beast and Barkion. Of course, taking your opponent's monsters is always an option. Since Trickheart's material are just 3 effect monsters, cards like Mind Control and Crackdown can use your opponent's monsters like your own. And lest we forget, while Trickheart's effect does lock you into only Scareclaw summons, any turn you haven't done that means you've got a Link 3 on hand to make an enormous access code talker. Not really an orthodox play, considering you can end the game by battle with this big bitey boy, but sometimes there are some pesky back row that only a giant cybernetic construct with a huge lance can answer. As for a silly tech pick, and I cannot believe I'm recommending this, but I've lost too many games on stream to not bring this up, Ojama Trio. Obviously you don't want to give your opponent free Link material if you can help it, but at the very least you can flip this on your opponent's end phase, and now they have 3 defense position monsters on the field, letting you use Lephobia's destruction effect and enable Raish's bonus draw. Not to mention that it gives Trike what are essentially free direct attacks. If you have Piercing available, the 300 defense of the tokens will be offset by the 300 points of burn damage they do when destroyed. Combine that with your attack boosters and multi-attacks, and it's curtains for your opponent. And since they're all beasts as well, Ojama Scareclaw isn't the worst deck you could be playing. In fact, it's pretty darn good. You hear that, Ojama stands? Don't say I never did nothing for you. And that's all I have to say about Scareclaw. They've got a mean streak a mile long, calling up various animal companions to make a nigh unstoppable killing machine, and with the right planning and preparation, there's nothing your opponent can throw at you that'll be claws for concern. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you think that Scareclaws are going to crank up the rules of nature, or are they still a bit too tame? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like this video to show your support, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with someone you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Once again, I'd like to mention that this episode was sponsored by Buyee. Make sure to use my promo link in the description or pinned comment to get a 2,000 yen discount coupon whenever you make a new account. But of course, this video is also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Nebula Navigators, Adam Zajdel, Eric, Gloomba331, Howling Zangetsu, John Manji, Panther J, Shooting Star 3300, Sun Sorrow, The Wizard Moose and the Fresh Prince of Conair, Cosmic Crusaders Serb, Chaz Ghost, Colin Todd, Manga Pages, RGS and the Legendary Raven, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to see my episodes earlier than anyone else, including getting to be a part of these credits, make sure to check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you want to see another video about an archetype that gets big and hits big, check out this video I did covering Dinomorphias. And if you want to see two Yu-Gi tubers going at it, check out Noah Jenk and I's latest series, Progression Polls, where your voice shapes the format. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.